everyone, it's CL, and in this video I'm going to share with you all my journals and notebooks of what I have and why I keep them. And yeah, so if you're curious, go ahead and stay tuned. Now I'm going to start picking these journals up in no particular order, and I'm just going to kind of just talk about them and we'll just see where it goes. So to start off, one of the journals that I keep, that I have kept up with for many years, is a dream journal where I write down all of the dreams that I can remember from when I'm sleeping. I wake up and I jot them down in a journal, and the reason why I do that is because reading them back years later is hilarious. You know, unless you're a lucid dreamer, you can't really control your dreams, and it's kind of crazy what kind of dreams you may have, you know? And then I think this all started when I was really young, because I'm the type of person that every time I go to sleep, I dream something. There's a lot of people out there that every time they go to sleep, they don't dream anything. It's just kind of blank, right? But for as long as I can remember, I've always had very vivid dreams. I'm not so much as a lucid dreamer because I can't really control my dreams. So just whatever happens to occur when I'm sleeping, that's what it is. And I like reading back my dreams because, one, I think there's more to dreams than we know. And I know people will say like, oh yeah, well, your dreams are like an interpretation of your real life and what's kind of going on with you, whether you're stressed and whatnot, and that may be the case, but I myself think that there's even more to dreams than we currently know. But let me go ahead and go to my very first dream journal and just kind of tell you all what one of my very first dreams that I wrote down in my journal, what it was. And let's go ahead and flip to a dream here, and let me just kind of read. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's kind of embarrassing. Let me go ahead and read it and give you a summary of what I read. All right, so I flipped to one of the first dreams that I jotted down in my first dream journal here, and it comes from December 23rd, 2004. Now, to give you a little background, back then, 2004, and for many years, my celebrity crush was Matt Damon. I thought he was like the hottest guy. I thought he was the sexiest guy. I loved every movie that he was in, and especially during this time, 2004, that was like one of the peak years of having a huge crush on Matt Damon. And on December 23rd, 04, I had a dream about Matt Damon, and it was probably one of the best dreams I've ever had, where I met him and he was like so into me, and we kind of were like getting to know each other in the dream, and it was kind of like the beginnings of a thing supposedly in my dream. And at the end of the dream, near the end of the dream, he like asked for my number, and he was all flustered because he was so into me, and it was probably one of the best dreams I've had of Matt Damon, especially because at that time I loved him so much as far as a celebrity crush. So that is one of the first dreams that I wrote down in one of my dream journals, and that right there is incredibly embarrassing, but at the same time I think it's so funny. I think it's so funny that I had a dream about him, and I just was over the moon that I had that dream. So I really love keeping a dream journal, and highly recommend it. If you are someone who dreams often, I highly recommend you also keep a dream journal. So another journal that I picked up, and it may be one that you're already familiar with, so I'm not going to really talk about this one much because I've already talked about it many times in other videos. So this here is my bullet journal for reading. So everything reading related I keep in here, and this is the first year that I'm keeping a reading bullet journal, and I have to say I really love it, and I think it really helps, you know, keeping track of those readathons, keeping track of your reading goals. So highly recommend you create a reading journal if you are a really big reader. So the next journal is this one here, and in this journal I write down all of my favorite quotes. So this journal is like my favorite quotes journal. Every time I come across a quote in a book or online, if I like it, I will write it down here. So let's go ahead and flip through a few. So one of the first quotes that I wrote down in my quote journal are from Bruce Lee. I really like Bruce Lee quotes, and I like Bruce Lee's philosophy as a whole. What else we got? And so just flipping to a random page, I noticed that I like to write down a lot of motivational quotes. Like this one here is from Les Brown. He's a motivational speaker, and one of his quotes was, "Too many of us are not living our dreams because we are living our fears." And that one I wrote down, most likely because that applies to me. I have a lot of fears that hold me back. So yes, this journal here is for all the quotes that I come across, and I love reading these back because if I'm looking for motivation, I will just flip to my favorite motivational quotes. If I'm in like a philosophical mood, then I will flip to the pages where they give like a philosophical quote. So yes. So this next journal here, and I don't know if I consider it a notebook or a bullet journal, but mainly it is for like keep track of my YouTube stuff as far as my goals, my YouTube goals, and kind of a list of things I want to accomplish in that particular month. So I have like a little notebook dedicated to YouTube. It's kind of, I don't really keep up with it consistently, but if there's something that I'm working on, I may jot it down in my YouTube notebook. And this journal here is my journal that I keep. It's like a daily bullet journal, and this has been featured in some of my bullet journal videos. And this here is just, you know, it's hit or miss whether or not I will make a spread for a particular month. If I do want to keep up with a daily bullet journal, I will put it in this one. So the next one I have here is actually a 2017 planner. Now I know I already showed you like my daily bullet journal, like if I want that kind of thing, I have a bullet journal. But the reason why I picked up this planner is not so much needing it to plan the month, because I don't. I decided to go ahead and pick up this monthly planner because in my bullet journal, I was so sick of writing or drawing a calendar. All I needed this planner for really was like a calendar, right? Just to keep track of my appointments, upcoming things for my kid that I need to attend. I just needed a calendar, and I was so tired of drawing a calendar in my bullet journal that I just went out and purchased a 2017 planner strictly for the calendar. Now, in the planner, of course, there are these like pages here where you can like jot down, I don't know, more details about what you need to do that day. I don't really use that part, and I didn't want it to go completely to waste. So what I've been doing is, I just picked this planner up in February, but what I've been doing for those portions of the planner that is for like daily details, I actually write down my accomplishments for that day, and I actually really like it. I can look back at that day and see what I accomplished, whether that be doing the laundry, going to the gym that day, and just reading that back of what I accomplished that day. It makes me feel really good that, hey, even though it feels like you're not succeeding in certain areas, you're actually accomplishing a lot. So that is why I have a 2017 planner, and yeah, I actually really like it. And I have two journals left, and the next one is this purple one here, and this is the one I decided to start in 2017. It's a personal journal, and I mentioned this in a past video, but for many, many years I was a very big journaler where I would like write down every detail of my life, and then somewhere along the line I stopped doing that because I was afraid that someone would read it, and especially if I talked a lot of trash about them, they would read all this drama that I don't want put out there, right? So I decided that in 2017, I will keep again a personal journal, but it's more for me to reflect on myself, and I made the rule that I won't include any personal drama. Like I won't say, oh, I really don't like so-and-so right now because of XYZ. I'm not gonna do that in this journal here. Because I just decided not to do that. So what I've been doing in this like personal reflective journal, I just kind of pick a topic, whatever happens to fit my mood that day, and I just kind of make a header of that particular topic, and then I will kind of talk about it to myself. Let's see here, what do we got? Like one of my entries, the header is anxious and stressed, and then I kind of just write why I'm feeling anxious and stressed that day. And it kind of helps when I read it back a few days later, I'm kind of able to reflect and see how I could have improved upon that day, or what I can change going forward, or what I can try to change going forward to be less anxious and stressed. And another entry was, I was reading one of these books and I came across a passage, so I kind of made a page in my personal journal here, kind of explaining what I felt about the passage that I read, my thoughts around it and why I'm feeling that way. And I have found that keeping like a personal journal that helps me reflect, it kind of helps me de-stress, and it kind of helps me release some of my feelings that I tend to keep inside. So I just started this in 2017, and I feel it has really helped me. So I'm going to continue this throughout the year, and I'm hoping that, you know, when I read it back, maybe a year from now, that I'll be able to reflect on what I wrote, why I felt the way that I felt, and learn from it. All right, so we have reached the last journal that I'm going to share with you all today, and that is this here. This is actually a journal that I keep for my daughter, where I will write down all of her adventures. I will just kind of write down everything that's going on with her. I will write it down in this journal here. And the reason why I decided to do that, one reason is because for myself, now that I'm an adult, I'm always curious what I was like as a child. Like right now, as an adult, I'm like very cynical. I am just kind of, as you know, I suffer from depression. I'm very anxious, and I just wish that I could look back in time to see how I was as a child, you know, like who was I before I started feeling this way, or have I always felt this way? So in that sense, I feel it's really important to write down what she was like as a child, so she can read it back when she's older and kind of not remember, because I don't think she'll remember it, but to know what she was like as a child, to know the things that she has overcome, her first experiences, that sort of thing. Like one of the pages that I have in here is from when she was a toddler, and she wasn't able to say proper words, or she would say a word that meant something else. So like when it was time to take a bath, she would call that bubbles, like, oh, is it time for bubbles? Let's see here. Popcorn, she used to call pop pop. And when she was learning about shapes, she would call a triangle a shaped diamond. So I'd be like, what shape is this? She goes, oh, that's a shaped diamond. So all those little things, you know, I want her to know what she was like as a child. I want her to know the things she has accomplished and overcome and struggled with. I want her to know those things when she's older. I also keep up with this journal as well as all the other ones that I keep. I also keep up with them, and this might seem a little morbid, but if anything were to happen to me, maybe I will get sick one day. You never know what tomorrow will bring, right? If one day that I'm not here, I want her to still have a piece of me. So in this journal here, I write down the things that we do together, and I emphasize how much I love her and how much she means to me. I write that down all in here. And as far as my other journals, I keep those also for her, and hopefully when I pass, she'll want them. But in the sense that if she ever is thinking about me or misses me, that she has these journals that are a part of me. If she's curious what I thought about something, I have my journals where I write down a lot of my reflections about life. I have my journals about how I explain what I'm going through, my struggles, and so on and so forth. And I have a lot of journals where I do a lot of doodles. So in that sense, I also think journaling is important, because if you're in a situation where you want someone like your child to still have a part of you, these journals are also a part of you. All right, so those are all the journal/notebooks that I have to share with you all today. I hope that you found it interesting. Sorry, I didn't really open them up and show you like a detailed page. It's just because when I journal very detailed and it's very personal. So I'm not ready to share that with the entire world, those type of things that I write down, which is mainly for myself. But I still hope that you found this video interesting. And if you are a journaler, what do you mainly journal about? Is it like keeping a book of quotes, keeping track of your dreams, or is it more like a daily journal? Please let me know down below in the comments. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.